all of a sudden you become a rock for me, son. It's not just how do I do this technical wise, but just the moral support as well, and just the strength. You show such strength.
You're listening to the Soul Podcast.
A special thanks to our friends over at Stanford Shaw for sponsoring this video.
Welcome back to the Soul Podcast, where we talk all things that feed the soul. So, on the culminating episode of our Father and Son series, this was a project we had in mind for quite some time now, and we're very excited to be finally getting into it. Was it what you expected it to be?
Yeah, I think so. But it's been so focused on me and fatherhood, and I want to turn the tables around this time and really take it from, because this is fathers and sons. So let's take it from the son's perspective naman. So let me be doing most of the asking of
So
questions.
it's interview mode.
Oo, kasi you were doing it in the last two episodes. I look at you now as a 25-year-old. You've really become a really sound, level-handed, well put together young man. What were your learnings growing up that may have helped you form your values right now? Growing up, what are your memories, and that you now looking back realize that helped me have a steady ground, and I picked up those learnings and I chose to take those learnings. How did you know you were loved? Because I'm sure that's important.
Very
Yeah.
well. Being a kid of an actor or director, no. I think a lot of the memories was just watching you at rehearsals or watching you direct at rehearsals. I think instantly I had backstage access bigla to a lot of the shows, and it was really nice because you did a lot of bring your son to work days, and just seeing you at work, seeing you at your craft, like seeing your dad do what he does and be the best at what he does. Obviously, that puts him at a pedestal. So those were the memories that I cherish. I
Being in shows?
being in the shows that you either directed or starred in, like being in the rehearsal
Oh, we have this
halls.
footage of him. He was 5 years old and we were doing Footloose in my dressing room. Kung anong nakikita niya sa stage, yun din nahihingin niya. And you could hear on the PA system the performance on stage, and he's mimicking everything that's being
I
done.
knew the choreo, in fairness.
Yeah, that was Gian Magdangal performing, and
Yeah.
you were doing.
They were singing Mama Said.
Yeah.
And growing up, you're right. Like that was always there. Actually, to a point, there were times I had to tell them, "You don't have to go to this event." It's like seriously, it's nothing. Like I'm not gonna be offended if you don't go. But I've always had that assurance, or it's always been nice because I could look into the crowd. Obviously, I'll see you and Mama there. Never kayo nagkulang. And
What does it do to a child pag he's gonna do something in school and then nandun ang parent? What does that do to a child?
It's security and recognition. Security in the fact that I got my parents with me just in case something goes wrong, but also security in the fact that you support me and what I'm doing, no matter how small. And then there's the recognition. I think every kid, regardless son or daughter, just wants to make sure that the parents are proud, and for them to show up, give the time to show up. I think is validating. Na okay, I must be doing something right, or what I did was worth, going to.
Yeah, because I think about fathers who are busy, lalo na pag like successful businessmen and all of that, and they're always at work and they don't have time, really don't have time to be with the child. What would you advise those fathers?
I guess what was taught, syempre, as a stereotype was men just have to provide and protect. Like that's the bare minimum for men. But provision doesn't just mean sustenance or a roof over your family's head. It also means provision for that emotional space for your kids to be able to come to you, give them that time. Provision for I I don't know, connection with your child. Provision for time as well. I mean, dads go through a lot as is, but I think just to give them a bit of a compass on what to look for, it's not all about just one side. Like we got to make sure that we focus on. Sorry, we as if I'm a dad too, no. But it's important to pay attention to that side as well because it's as important
As
for a
important.
kid. Yes.
To give that time. You know, it's not just about providing
Yeah.
and security, but just really showing up, right? Showing
Yeah.
up is so important. How about the fact that me being an actor and really emotional, did you ever feel awkward that I'm always saying, I love you, son, I love you, son? Did that help you at all?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I is the question if I felt awkward? Absolutely not.
Yeah.
I love it, and I'm not ashamed to say it in public as well. Um, if anything, I think it helped me be a little more secure, not just in the whole, being expressive thing, but vulnerability was, suddenly not such a foreign concept for us. I viewed my dad as, sorry, I view my dad as a superhero, right? And obviously, if you grew up the way I did, seeing your dad on stage, um, that's the image you have in your head. But obviously, as I grew older and our dynamics changed, we were a little more honest with each other. I think we had conversations that you may have not been able to have with me back then. You're now a little open with me about struggles and stuff like that. That superhero image didn't change, actually. If anything, I think that was a little more emphasized because knowing now that, dang, it wasn't a breeze for dad or it wasn't always easy for him.
Mm.
Um, he's going through, this and that and, everything that life throws at him, but still manages to, fulfill all his responsibilities, keep it together and be a pleasant dad to be with. That to me is what makes you a superhero.
But you know what? It's so interesting. I'm not comfortable being called that at all. But what I find it so interesting now that Richard at 25, every time ngayon, he mentioned that we're best friends. Every time now ngayon na may problema ako, and I do have problems, I go to him. I go to him, and just like the other day, I had a problem that came up, and I said, this is what could happen," and you just gave me such a positive. That's not gonna happen. It's and or I was hospitalized 3 weeks ago, and there he was, taking care of me and taking charge. I just all of a sudden you become a rock for me, son. It's not just how do I do this technical wise, but just the moral support as well, and just the strength. You show such strength. Which I've told him this, and I mean, Hannah's there, and I want her to hear this, and we're gonna get emotional here, but um, you become a father to your sisters.
Is that true?
No, it's a good cry because I see such a responsible man. I see admirable qualities.
Well, where do I get it from, huh? Yeah.
That they look up to you. They wala man silang tatay na matingnan. You're the strength. You're the provider, morally, emotionally. There's not a day this boy coming home from a hard day's work when he will not first greet me and say I'm home. That's if I'm not asleep. But the first thing that he will really, really do is go to his mom and his sisters. That's every night without fail. And I know that your sisters are not going to go wayward looking for a man because they have you as the measure, right? Don't ever settle for anybody less than your brother. A man who will take care of you, love you, respect you, provide for you. Yeah, it's my time to make you puri.
I know I was gonna say I like this episode.
um,
Oh god.
because then I can rest assured that you were raised well, right? And that these are the strengths that I see. But I do want to see a softer side. I do want to see a softer side. Look, he hasn't shed a tear, and I'm already bawling, right?
Well, that's the dynamic we have.
He's become such a good young man, and I know he'll be fine. And now that my girlfriend is siya, and I love his girlfriend,
Aw.
I know you'll be a good man. Sometimes I ask him, "Oh, 25 ko pa lang, huwag ka magpakasal until 30 ka. Only because I want him to be ready to be a good provider emotionally also. And God has a lot of plans for him, as I said. I mean, God plans generationally, and I know that we cross paths because he has a big plan for you. And I want you to know what that plan is first before you take other people on that ride. And I don't doubt that when that time comes, when you start your own family, you'll be a great dad. You will be a great dad. What kind of a dad do you think you'll be?
Well, I'll repeat what I said in one of my birthday greetings to you. And I do mean it. I said something along the lines of, if I could be at least half the dad that you are to me, then I think I would have been a successful dad. I don't think you realize the effect, not just you being there, but the type of fatherhood or the type of fathering that you gave me just felt tailor fit to me. I don't know if that makes sense, but dad's always had that balance. He was firm when he needed to be, and that was usually because maybe safety was in question. But he also gave me that space to make mistakes, be my own man, and he'd always encourage me and push me to go forward, but also was there to, whenever he saw that maybe I was buckling to pressure, or the world or the weight of it was getting to me. So I don't know, Dad. Like, you just had such a huge hand in shaping who I am today. Still figuring it out. Still, still getting there. But I owe a lot of what I am and what I've done to you.
Di pa ako patay ha. Pero at the same time, kasi parang tribute. Pero having said that, I do tell people because I've lost a lot of my friends lately, no? And then when you hear all these tributes and people are pouring out their hearts to this person who's gone, and I always say, tell your loved ones you love them now.
Yeah. Why?
Tell
Why
your
wait?
loved ones how
Yeah.
great they are now.
Why wait? That's why I don't.
Right.
I try to make an effort to. Dad's a little more expressive than me, but I try to make an effort to let you know these things. Just so you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, other things that do you like the fact that si Richard kasi parati pag pinapakilala ko siya sa mga taong medyo may edad na, they get so pleasantly surprised that one, he likes music from the past. He's an old soul as far as music is concerned
Yeah.
because I introduced him to 70s music and then he came
Yeah.
to like 40s and 50s music. I don't know. He's an old soul, but more than anything, he's become such a great conversationalist because made him tag along all the time with older people. So sanay itong bata na to makipag-usap sa mga hindi kaedad niya. They're very comfortable with older people, right?
Yeah.
So would you say that it's good value to train your kids to converse, um, to talk a lot? We talk a lot, eh.
We talk a lot. And I think that did help because it helped me form my own thoughts, my own principles. Of course, with the guidance of dad, but I think that was great training. I called it media training because then I identify as an introvert for sure, but have no problem with talking to people from all walks of life, different ages and such. And I do owe it all to
Yeah,
that
just
kind
being
of
exposed.
exposure.
Yeah.
But I will advocate for talking to. Is it wrong to say older people? Talk to older people.
Yeah.
I think they have the blueprint to life. They have a wealth of experience, gone through it all. Maybe
Yeah.
different contexts, different environments, but
Yeah.
you'll find that the problems are really all the same. And because they've gone through whatever it is they've gone through, they have a way of simplifying the problem or simplifying certain scenarios, and you'll find that, wow, okay, it becomes so encouraging because okay, everything will be fine.
Here's what I'll say. Richard has been blessed by male figures in his life. I'm not the only one. He makes it sound like I'm the only one. No, he's got tremendous titos around him.
Yeah.
There's Tito David, there's Tito Jaime,
I mean,
Tito
Carlo.
Carlo. I mean, these men are around him to speak into his life and to be father figures for him. And I guess what I want to say is that some of us may not have had the ideal situation with regard to not having a strong father figure, but he knew at age 5 what he needed and asked for it. He asked for a father. And he got it. I have another friend who at what how was he 19 before he asked Tito Jaime to be his dad. So again, it's that consciousness that I need a father figure. So I guess my advice to young people, if you feel that you have a need to look up to someone to be mentored, find that mentor because there are exemplary men out there who you can look up to rather than stew in your lack,
Yeah.
right? Na itong kulang, so you just go inside. There are heroes all around us, and in the same breath, I will tell men now that there's so many young people out there that need to be fathered. They don't have to be your blood. You don't have to take them in um, or adopt them, but give time to mentor, to be a
Speak into
hero,
their lives.
speak into their lives.
You'll find that it's healing for you too.
Yeah, but like our society is so lacking in men who are strong because we lack mentoring. The Philippines is a matriarchal family. Why? Because takot ang mga bata mag-approach sa tatay, so nagiging nanay na lang. Parating nanay ang conduit bago maabot yung tatay, sa nanay ka dadaan. As a society and as Christians, a father is supposed to be approachable. And he may not be the most perfect, but we need to move towards that. So if you don't have a perfect father, make that move. It doesn't have to be perfect before you make that move. Sometimes you need to make that move because it's about your healing. That's what I did. My fathering Richard is my healing. I can't look up to my father anymore. He's long gone and say, why didn't you do this? Why didn't you? I did what he didn't do to Richard, so I would find my healing and find my redemption there. So I guess that's what I would encourage men to do on either side. You are a mentor, look for someone you can mentor. You're a young person looking for a mentor, look for that mentor.
And on the flip side of it, no, I mean, I guess it would be hard for a lot of people who didn't have the privilege of having the ideal father figure. I feel like looking back at your relationship with your dad, and maybe it wasn't ideal and maybe it wasn't what you needed at the time, I would urge you to find it in your heart to, number one, forgive and extend that
Yeah.
that grace, because for all you know, your dad was probably doing only what he knew, doing what he was exposed to, and doing what he could, because that's a thing, right? But it's important for you to, yes, acknowledge that, forgive him, and then release that completely, and then focus on your healing, as Dad said. I think that's a step forward. Yeah, I've always struggled. No, not always, but I have struggled with identity. It's constant back and forth. I think we always have those conversations. I put a lot of pressure on myself, not knowing if I'm doing enough, or if I'm the best that I could be at the age I'm at. And that may have stemmed from like way before, probably, not knowing who I was. So I thought that acts, achievements were what would
Defines you.
define me. And my dad telling me, I think one of the first times I brought it up, because you probably saw I was so stressed, and I was overthinking a lot of things, and he just told me, time out, son. I'll tell you now, there is nothing more you can do that can make me more proud of you. I'm already proud of you as is. That just took off a huge weight off of my shoulders, because yun nga, as a son, there's the pressure to impress or exceed your dad, even for some. And obviously I have big shoes to fill, right? But just having that comfort that, okay, no matter what I do, my dad loves me. It's not measured by achievement or success. I'm just me, and that's enough. That was healing for me, and that was later on. Already, working at that time, right? So
Parang last year lang ata tong conversation na to eh.
baka every time I have those bouts, because it's internal, right? You have those conversations in your head. Every time I do have those bouts, I remember. No, my family loves me.
I
It
look
must
at
be so frustrating for you, because I mean, don't get me wrong. He's done everything he could and said everything he could to make sure I was secure. So it wasn't you lacking in that department. I'm sure that's just what is it now, quarter life crisis type thing, or yeah,
I
something.
think that's normal for you young
Yeah,
people to
it's
say, where am
normal.
I? When I was 25, also tinanong ko ni sarili ko,
Yeah,
where's my life going? Am I the right thing? And
yeah.
that's normal.
I don't know, but it was just, I
It's
think
just,
the affirmation coming from my dad, the one who I seek approval from most.
mm,
That's so he did mention he's super expressive, and not afraid to get emotional, but there is a very practical side to dad as well. He will feel whatever it is he's feeling. He will express whatever it is that is on his mind, but he will stay level-headed still.
ako, I like that he's a steady Eddie. I like that. Um, like I said, parang I'm finding myself more and more now leaning on you for support. Um, physically, I'm older, so talagang, help me. But yeah, it's also very reassuring, son, to see your strength, your quiet strength, and yeah, that's very assuring for an aging father.
Grabe naman. 66 pa lang.
Yun.
Yeah. I didn't really come into this with like a key message in mind. Like I think the agenda, at least on my end, was to open up the conversation, because maybe I could imagine maybe not a lot of people know how, and so it kind of just floats in the air. But hopefully this is something that's, I don't know, thought provoking. We'd love to engage you in conversation. We do have a comment section or any of the IG posts, right? Definitely something that we can talk about. And I just want to recognize the importance of fatherhood and sonship. I think that's what completes a man, and it's really sad to see sometimes when, you know, men lose their way, and they don't realize that it may be coming from, lapses in either of those phases, because those phases are great for foundation. But for those who maybe did not have the privilege of having the ideal deal set up for both, it's not too late. As mentioned, it's there's healing in that process, right? So it doesn't matter if maybe it wasn't what you had when you were a kid, but you can make those steps now, that you're older. No, it's either finding a mentor to help heal that side of you, or mentoring yourself.
Yeah, I think it's so important for men to start talking. Men don't talk. Eh. We're so quiet and we keep it in, and sometimes we suffer it. I think it begins with speaking up, and that's why we'd like to open this floor for you men out there, to just start the conversation. Um, we want to celebrate fatherhood and sonship. We want to, it's such a beautiful relationship, and we're not here nagtataasan kami ng bangko ng
No,
isa't
no.
isa, no. It's just we're just trying to say no, it can be a beautiful thing, and men can move towards that by celebrating their father and son relationships. We hope that in the future there'll be other episodes where we'll have different men share their own
Yeah, different
dynamic,
unique dynamics
yeah, how they
and
relate to each
setups.
other. Yeah, and
That'll
we'd
be
love to
interesting.
find other combinations of fathers and sons
Yeah,
to
let us
share their
know
own
also
stories.
if there are duos you want to hear from.
That'd be interesting. We'd be very, very happy, and it just starts the conversation,
Yeah,
and maybe it just begins with that,
right.
of just men learning to speak up.
I think that's all we have for you today. This is the culminating episode of the father and son series. I love that we were finally able to do this. This was a burden we've had for, a couple years now. Hopefully we get the conversation going. Reach us at our socials. Won't be a problem. Sure, we can do something with this. And of course, we'd like to thank our friends over at Stanford Shaw. We usually have conversations over drinks, so this is great. Maybe it could start with that, with you and your dad. But till then, we'll see you next Thursday on another episode of Soul. See you then.